Hello, whiskey folk. Welcome to another Thursday night. It's 10:15. It's me, Roy Aqvavitae, feeling a wee bit tired, but somehow energized. Really super energized with everything that's been happening to me and in whiskey in general over the last few weeks. Kind of feels like I haven't missed any live streams. I haven't. In fact, I was here more recently than I was before. I did a live stream when I was over in Islay, so I've kind of hung out with you more recently than I normally would have done. But because of everything that's happened over the last couple of weeks, I feel just a wee bit distant from you. So I was looking forward to settling down tonight and enjoying a couple of drams with you and welcoming you to actually a happy National Bourbon Day. I've got a bourbon in my hand right now, and I'm raising a glass to National Bourbon Day. I don't know if it's a traditional thing. I think it's a fairly new thing. It's bizarre that it's Bourbon Day. Why not American whiskey? I mean, it sounds a bit like just having like a happy single malt day or something. I don't know. But nevertheless, it is National Bourbon Day. So tonight, the dram I've got in my hand, and perhaps the dram I'm going to pour after this, and maybe the one after that, will also be bourbon as well. So Slàinte to all my bourbon aficionados out there. Yes, there's been millions happening. I'm excited to hang out with you tonight, share everything with you, see what you guys have been up to, see what you guys are doing, what you're drinking tonight. Are you celebrating National Bourbon Day, or do you have scotch or something else in your hands? What are you drinking? So yeah, I don't know how many of you were aware it was National Bourbon Day. It only just was drawn to my attention. The Whiskey Dick Bill is doing a live video. I think it goes out about 1 o'clock in the morning. He scheduled a live to celebrate National Bourbon Day, and it was actually him that flagged to some of us that it was National Bourbon Day today. Otherwise, really, I didn't even pick any of it up on Twitter or anything today. Otherwise, I think it would have just slipped cleanly under the radar. So before I go through what we're going to try and talk about tonight, just let me run through who's hanging out and who's joining us tonight. 45 of you have already jumped in already, and we've only just kicked off. Fantastic. Sean Nemo, you were in from the very start. It's nice to see you hanging out, and it's nice to see you being so polite and supporting Jason and the other channels as well. It's great to see you around the place. Mark Wilson is in. Fantastic, Mark. Good to see you. Tom R, of course, Tom. And again, super to see you, my friend. Jason Coates is in. JasonWhiskyWise is moderating tonight. The Whiskey Rev was moderating as well, and co-moderating with Jason. And just at the last minute, he sent me a message to say he's feeling a wee bit poorly. I have to be honest, I'm not all together there myself right now. I think I've got a bug working on me right now, but as long as I get through tonight, we'll all be fine, right? So the Whiskey Rev sends his apologies, and Jason is obviously my wingman tonight. So if you're trying to get my attention, highlight it to me or to Jason as well. McAllen Fine and Rare, the doc, good to see you in, my friend. Fantastic. Scott, Kilted Moose, you're back. Are you back in Scotland now, Scott? Fantastic to see you. And good to welcome you in again. Tom Abbott is in. Tom, good to see you as well. Michael Hay, hi Mikey, how are you, my friend? Dwayne Large is in. Dwayne, I know we've been chatting recently. Fantastic to see you, Dwayne. Who else do we have in? Hoagie Bear, fantastic. Hoagie, it would be nice to hook up with you and get you in on a little guest slot one night. But I've got so much to talk about tonight that we've kind of postponed that from tonight, haven't we? And I've kind of got an idea already, a slot booked in for a guest at the end of the month, and I'm going to talk to you about that a wee bit later. Gus is in. Gus, fantastic to see you as well, my friend. Amy is in. Wonderful to see you, Amy. Welcome in again. Everwind is in. Superb. Thomas McCrory. Thomas, a big thanks and welcome on board as a patron as well, Thomas. It was fantastic to get that notification from you, and welcome on board. It's fantastic to have your support. Rolf, another one of my patrons, is in as well. Fantastic to see you as well, Rolf. Superb. Raphael, where have you been? I was thinking about you recently. This is Rafael Ortega from Argentina. It's great to see your name back in there again, alongside Colourless Blue Things, Sid Martin. Can I just pause for a second to apologise to my friend and patron, Sid Martin? I realised that when I put together the Islay video this week, I went through and I put all the patrons' names at the end credits just to kind of list who helped me make that video possible, and I'll talk a wee bit about that in a wee while as well. But I realised I'd forgotten Sid's name. It's a disaster. If you count them up, there's one missing. And I went through it, and I went through it again, and I went through it again. And eventually I realised that I'd forgotten Sid. I'll find a way to make it up to you. You're still very much a patron of mine, and I apologise that you're not in the credits for that video. I'll maybe put you in the credits about 3 or 4 times in the next video I do. It's just sloppiness, and it's my fault. It's absolutely my fault, my friend. Thanks for your understanding. Raster is in, superb, good to see you, Raster. Jason C is in, Swami is in, Malted in Montreal, welcome in, Swami, fantastic. Can I just say, there's 68 of you in just now. Swami's in tonight. Swami has been grinding away, putting out videos, being impassioned about whiskey, and I know that he can be super opinionated and he can be a bit direct sometimes, but the guy's been working away for about at least 2 years now, maybe longer. And now he is on the cusp. I mean, he's literally teetering on the edge of 1,000 subs. And why is that important? Well, in YouTube realm, it is really important because YouTube doesn't let you step outside of your diapers, of your nappies, as we would say in the UK, until you hit 1,000 subs. It doesn't let you monetize. It doesn't let you access some tools like Super Chat and things like that. And Swami is literally just about a couple of dozen subs away from that 1,000 mark. So please, he's a passionate whiskey guy. Go along. Everybody that's going to come in tonight, I'm sure knows Swami very, very well, but some of you might not. The channel is Malted in Montreal. Give the guy a sub and help him step out of kindergarten and into the realms of the 1K plus club, please. Super, fantastic to see you in, Swami, as well. Ben Marnick is in. Ben, fantastic to see you as well. Welsh is in, superb. Reb, I have something here that I'll talk about in a sec. Your package arrived from your friend just south of the border. Fantastic. Bob is in. Bob, you star, nice to join. You made the highlight. The last moments of my time on that island of Islay was spent enjoying and sharing a sample that you provided, and it was absolutely transcendental. It was wonderful, Bob, and for that I'm forever grateful. Bob gave me a 1970s Port Ellen that Bill, my friend, and I on Islay sipped in the Islay peat fields just before we took the flight home. It was absolutely fantastic. He's saying, is that Roy from the Islay Tourist Board? Yeah, you're absolutely right. No, I don't work for a tourist board. I don't work for any agencies, and I don't work for any distilleries. I work for you. I only work for you guys. Sid is saying multiple credits sounds like an idea. Fantastic. Thanks for your understanding, Sid. I knew you'd be cool about it, but I just wanted to let everyone know that it's my idea. Eric Waite is in. Eric, super excited to see you. I know that you're traveling here. He said hello from San Francisco Airport. He's taking a flight to London, and after a couple of days down in the capital, he'll be coming up to Scotland, and I'm looking forward to shaking Eric's hands and welcoming him to Scotland on Sunday. I'm super excited about that. Malt Fan is in. I mentioned Hoagie Bear. Rob is in. Whiskey in the Six is in. Superb. Hoyt is in. Fantastic. Malt Review, Jason, good to see you, my friend. Fantastic. I was hoping I would see you in tonight. Everybody's pouring in. I can hardly keep up with the chat moving now. Superb. Toon Van Rouge, Causeway Coast Whiskies, Artificial Frequencies. Craig, my friend Craig Dollier, superb. It's great. This is just fantastic. It just sets me up, makes me realize just how worth all of this is for when you guys come along and support. Which brings me to the next thing, and that's this Islay video. So 2 days ago, I put out an Islay video, a huge project for me, really time-consuming. Spent a lot of time filming when I was over in Islay, but I really, really wanted to do that. I wanted to make the most of my time there, and I wanted to try and put together something that would convey how I connect with that place, with that island, how I enjoy it, how I love it, but also to try and work out if I was the only one that felt like that, if I was just a wee bit, sickly sweet on it all, or was it really connecting and speaking to a lot of people like that as well? And honestly, everybody I spoke to, nobody said, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Everybody said, absolutely, we get it. And a lot of them were willing to step on camera for me as well, and take questions and just speak to the camera, which I thought was fantastic. So when I came back, Whiskey Biker is saying, Aqvavitae, the video was really well done. Thank you very much, Whiskey Biker, and thank you so much for the gift that you passed on to my buddy, the Whiskey Rev. That was a really nice. He was really touched about that. He thought it was fantastic, and he sent me a photo of what you brought into him. It was just wonderful thought. Nigel Slynn is saying, cracking job on the Islay video, great watch. Thank you, Nigel. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Connor is saying, I think your Islay video is your best yet. That's just the feedback I'm getting, and it was so, you know, those kind of moments of doubt that you have, and I was working through it, and I sent it to Scott at Scotch Test Dummies. I was speaking to him recently, and I sent him the link over, and he came back straight away, and he said that video's great, just go ahead. And that was a rough cut, and I tidied it up a wee bit from there, and I put it out, and the reception that it's had has just blown me away. It's fantastic just to have you guys. I was really emotional for me to get that feedback because of the time, I suppose, that I put into it as well. But I want to make an acknowledgement here, and I can't understate this. That video would not have been possible without the support from my patrons. You guys are awesome. You're just wonderful people. You helped me go out and buy a new camera. And why is that important? The camera I had worked fine, but the problem is that the battery lasted 15 or 18 minutes at the most. That was on a low setting. If I cranked the settings up, it would probably die faster than that. It was getting on a bit now. It's quite an old camera. This one with a spare battery, I was shooting all day on it. So it wasn't just about the quality, it was about the practicality of using it. That meant that I could produce that video, I could make that video, and I could bring it to you. And also when I was coming home and I'd spent too much money and I wanted that bottle from Lagavulin, it would have been impossible for me to pick it up and bring it home if it wasn't for the support from my patrons. And I just want to pause. I know that we speak and I connect with you through the Patreon platform, but I want to just pause and thank you on a public video to say how much I appreciate it. It could not have happened. Seriously, that video couldn't have happened without Patreon support. No question. Mikey is saying, I thought the camera video quality was great and great camera placement too. What was the camera? The camera I bought was a small point and shoot. It's a compact camera, so you can literally, you can stick it, excuse me, I've got all the crap still lying out on my desk. You can stick it on one of these monopods or one of these gorilla pods. You can carry it with you everywhere. It's quite a heavy thing. But in this kind of size, it's got a flip-up screen and things, so you can shoot at all angles and still see what you're framing and things like that. And it's got a much, much better battery life as well. It's not 4K, but I don't need 4K. I'm not intending to share things in 4K yet. So this is a Canon GX7 Mark II. It's the one I'd had at my own for a while, but I couldn't, previously I couldn't afford it. And I because of your help, I could. So that's going to be the kind of catalyst for me to be able to just be much more productive, I suppose. It's just easier for me to shoot things with a new camera, and maybe you don't see the difference, but I see the difference. I certainly see the difference when I use it as well. Tom is asking how many takes to get the fish to cooperate. Well, I don't want to, there is a thing with a fish in the Islay video, but I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it, because some people I'm sure are watching that and they missed the fish. But yeah, it was a really fantastic serendipitous thing to happen. And the guy that I was talking to is actually, the guy was Brian from California. He's from Los Angeles, the guy I was interviewing at that point. And he's an actor as well. And he was a bit miffed that he was upstaged by a trout in Loch-and-Dal. It was super funny. It was just a very, very cool thing to capture. But yeah, 23 minutes, 18 seconds into the Islay video, the fish makes an appearance. Drew Bills is in as well. Fantastic to see you, Drew. Malted Man Cave, Keith is in. Vin is in. No Nonsense Whiskey, superb. Wonderful to welcome you all in again. So yes, the Islay video, it's kind of bizarre. It's taken another second win tonight. You know, when we put out a video, we see this huge peak and people come in and lots of comments and things, but then it kind of dies off and it trails off, and the evergreen ones kind of bumble along, and other ones just kind of fizzle out and just get very low noise views. But something has happened with that video today. And I want to ask Hoagie about this because it seems that just this afternoon, there was a huge spike. I mean, bigger than the original spike. and lots of views have been coming in from continental Europe, especially Germany. So that's curious. I'm wondering what that's about. Eric is saying you should change your name to Roy Neistat. The video quality would make Casey proud. Well, you've pointed out quite a few times, Eric, and thank you, Eric, so much for the plugs and your live stream. I've been watching it throughout today, picking up, and you plugged that video 2 or 3 times today. I was watching it on my phone. I didn't make a comment. But thank you so much for helping to promote the video, Eric. Fantastic. But you've mentioned a few times, and I have to be honest that I've been watching Casey Neistat since he was doing productions with his brother Van. They were the Neistat brothers way back in the day. And I've watched him. I've been a subscriber of his since the very, very early days on YouTube when he used to do things with ink markers and scissors and things like that. And yeah, there's no doubt that in fact, the reason that I listen to DJ Quads is because of Casey Neistat's influence. I listened to DJ Quads in the house on SoundCloud. And when I was looking for a video soundtrack to put to the Aqvavitae, to make the Aqvavitae channel, DJ Quads was a very obvious thing because I wanted it to be something that could kind of you hark back to the old-timey sounds, but kind of have a modern beat so that you could edit to it and things like that. And that's like so many video creators that have been influenced by Neistat and by people like that. That's exactly what it's about. But his style means that some of the content that's usually quite journey-like, road movie-like, you can suddenly chop up and have a fast-paced way of getting quite a lengthy message across. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Eric. That's true. But I doubt it would make him proud. But yeah, like so many other creators on YouTube, I am influenced by Casey Neistat. He is just a fantastically creative guy. Pat Conmurphy's in. Fantastic to see you, Pat. Simon Ray. Simon, is that a new name? I apologise if I've just forgotten, but it's great to welcome you in regardless. Casper is in again. Casper Thompson, good to see you in, my friend. Fantastic. Simon is saying great coverage from Islay. Thank you very much. And Casper, good evening to you as well. Everyone is saying, compared to the Secret of Islay video, on YouTube, yours is so much better. Thank you very much, everyone. I've probably watched that video, but I don't recall it right now. My guess, your video will soon be the go-to whiskey for anyone wanting to go to Islay. Yeah, I mean, it could be, but I mean, it wasn't meant to be like a guide for distilleries or a guide for Islay. It was meant to try and just kind of get across that feeling, that connection, that way that literally when I'm on Islay, I feel super removed from stress and from, I know the whiskey helps. There's no doubt the whiskey helps, and we talk about that in the video, that it's the catalyst, the reason that we're there, of course, and we're enjoying whiskey while we're there. But, you know, I realize that I'm also not alone in that feeling, that everyone I was speaking to becomes very aware of that, just everything slowing down and everything being very on Islay time, almost. And that's quite an addictive feeling. It's a really addictive feeling. And Eric's coming over just now, and I know he's booked a trip to Islay, and I'm just hoping that the weather and the midges are kind to him and he can connect with Islay that way as well. But we'll see. He's obviously gone over. I think he's doing a tour, actually. He's going with a group, which should be quite cool as well. Andy's in. Andy Pursley, Andy Ardbaggy. Fantastic, Andy, to welcome you in. Hey, Roy, how we doing? I'm doing very, very well. Excited to see you and everyone else in here, Andy. And I'm so sorry that we never got to hook up on Ardbeg, but you'll maybe see from the footage on the Islay video that I was genuinely at Ardbeg Day and I was genuinely looking for you. There's a few people that were there that I don't know, we're probably just in different environments at different times, that I missed quite a few people while I was there. And Hoagie's asking if I had this year's Lagavulin yet. Yes, Hoagie. Thanks to, again, my patrons, I managed to bring home this souvenir. Now, this is still sealed, and this will become a special moment bottle for me because I got to try it quite a few times. I got to try it. You could walk in and they would let you try it there. This was quite a big release. There was 6,000 of these. So there's plenty available. Just if you've bought one of these, open the bag and check what's inside it. Some folk have been opening the bag and pulling out the 2017 Jazz Festival edition by mistake. I've heard, not many, I'm sure, but a couple, and they were actually checking the stock in Lagavulin when I was there for that very reason. But this is the Lagavulin Fèchil bottling. We got to try it. It was wonderful. It's Lagavulin from a bourbon cask, 18-year-olds in cask strength, 53.9%. This is bottle number 4638 from 6,000. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But of course, it's an 18-year-old Lagavulin. I mean, it's a cask strength. It's not going to be anything but good, right? I don't have much to compare it to. I haven't tried a lot of Fèchil releases, but I like this. And I got to try it again because when we did the Lagavulin warehouse tour, they'd sold out of their 16-year-old. Lagavulin hadn't sold out of their Fèch release, but they sold out of the 16-year-old during the festival. So they'd replaced the 16-year-old in the warehouse tasting with the Fèch bottling, which was kind of cool. So we got to try it. We got to try it again, which was fantastic. Scott is saying it also helps that it's hard to get an internet connection on Islay. Absolutely. I mean, it's getting better. I had 4G fairly regularly, but you're absolutely right. I mean, you go there and you kind of just assume that you're not going to get much of a connection. So your phone just stays in a bag or in your pocket. You just chill out and enjoy the company and the air, right? So good to leave everything behind and concentrate on the whiskey. Absolutely, Scott, and the environment as well. And everyone is asking, hard to get from the video, but roughly how many folks were there at any given time? Well, that's the thing, is that Islay does become a bit stretched. The infrastructure creaks, the accommodation sells out. It's difficult. You've got to make sure that you're booking ahead for dinners and restaurants that you want to eat in and things. Otherwise, you'll be eating sandwiches from the co-op or whatever. But that's to be and you can understand that. It's to be expected. However, as you drive around and as you walk around, while you can sense that it's busier if you've ever been outside of the Fèchil, it's still not, it didn't feel crowded to me at any point. The beaches weren't crowded, the streets and the roads weren't crowded, the towns weren't crowded. I suppose if there was events on and things like that, yes, there were lots of people around, but it still felt very nicely paced. I wouldn't let that put you off at all. But I would also encourage people to go there outside of Fèchil because it's a much more intimate experience in terms of connecting with the landscape, the people, and the distilleries. Fèchil is fantastic for that kind of international feel and for hanging out with people and getting to meet new people and having fun. It's very cool for that. Hoagie's asking, had the 24-year-olds from 2015 last week at the Whisky Fair. Very good stuff, but only on par with the 19-year-old from 2014. Hoagie Bear is, him and I are kindred spirits in our love for Lagavulin, and he has, I would imagine that you've got a very nice Lagavulin collection. I also understand that my friend, who's a much closer than you, Hoagie, Scott Monroe, who's in tonight as well, has a very handsome Lagavulin collection. Just need to work out how to crowbar some of that out of him. It's funny talking about Lagavulin and Islay and Fèch and sipping on a sweet, sweet bourbon. This is the bourbon I'm having just now is a Basil Hayden's or a Basil Hayden's, an 8-year-old. But I think this is ruined by 40%, to be honest. It's super soft. It's very, very light bourbon. And Vin is saying, my wife just asked me to turn the bass down on the sound bar. Must be your dulcet tones. Yeah, and I think that this mic also is quite bassy as well. Am I being a bit loud tonight? I hope it sounds okay. Andy's saying, Brooklady is the biggest and best open day, very busy. Yeah, and I think because of their courtyard setting, everybody's kind of in there. They're in the courtyard, and it's I think a more compact space than perhaps at our big day, which is really, really super spread out and things. Vin, thank you very, very much for the virtual dram, for the best whiskey tube we've seen to date. Vin, thank you so much. Keep up the pioneering work. Vin, you're a star. Thank you for that. Thank you for the nice words, and thank you for the virtual dram. Cheers, my friend. Simon is saying the Islay film really gave you a sense of place, I guess. People and whiskey. I agree. The quality of recording and editing was really, really good. I'm getting better. And more than getting better at this, I'm getting faster at it as well. So, you know, big projects like that. I came back from Islay with 90 gigabytes, about 6 or so hours of footage to put together that half an hour. It was really quite difficult to get it down. Paul Gibbs, Paul, good to see you, and my friend. You're saying good evening. Good evening to you as well. Daydreaming is saying good morning, Roy. Andrew, obviously tuning in from Australia. You're a superstar. You're always here. Thank you so much, and good morning to you as well. I hope that you're enjoying your cornflakes this morning down in is it Adelaide? I think you're in Adelaide. And Welsh is saying he has a couple of indie Lagavulins. I've got one independent Lagavulin downstairs, still sealed. I'm looking forward to popping that open at some point and maybe having a wee Lagavulin night. I think that would be quite cool. And Jason is saying, can't wait for the Glengoyne Teapot Dram batch 6. Yes, I believe it's coming out at the end of this month, end of June. Batch 6 should be out. I'm excited for that as well because batch 5 has long since gone and I absolutely loved batch 5. Fantastic. So, I mean, yeah, the Islay video was a huge energy drain. It took me a long time to do it. But it was great fun. Shooting it was great fun. Being on Islay was fantastic. I mean, the accommodation, my friend Bill, thank you so much, Bill. I know he's not going to be able to join live tonight because he's in California and he's at work, but he'll be watching this on the repeat. Thank you so much again. He took care of the accommodation for us. He took care of the hire car. He's just, and to be honest, if it wasn't for him pushing and suggesting that whole thing, that trip might not have happened. So for that, I'm really grateful. And I also think that he came across really well on camera, as well as being a super guy, just kind of running shotgun for me and taking shots while I was driving and taking shots while I was speaking to people and things. It was just great to have him around. Loved it. So it took a lot of time. And I think that's why I feel like I've been removed from you guys a wee bit, because I've been a bit dark here, just kind of concentrating on putting that video together in every spare hour I could find, sitting here late into the evening and things like that. Because I see I'm getting faster, it still takes a while. But it's great fun and I love the process. And do you know what? See, when you put something out there and you get the reception that you've given me for that video, doing it again is it's an easy decision. I'll do it again in a heartbeat. It's just so worth it. And Jason is asking if we should head up to the distillery. You're talking about Glengoyne. Absolutely, buddy. Just come up and we'll go when it's released. Whiskey Bloke is in. Max is in. So Max also featured in the video. Max is started his own reviews a couple of months ago. He features with his dogs, Pugsy and Rex. And the two of them are really cool. And Max was really cool as well. And he came along and I asked him, I said, right, okay, you want to do a collaboration? You want to sit on this rock and tell me about Islay? And that's exactly what he did. And in fact, the final scene is kind of Max's summary. He came up earlier this year. He came up in springtime. And then he found himself with a spare weekend and jumped in the car and brought the dogs up to Islay again for the Tale of the Fisheel. Fantastic. So we got to meet and hang out for a while. We got to eat a bit of dinner together. I got to get to know Max a little bit. And obviously he features on the video. So check out Max, Whiskey Bloke. He's got a channel as well. And he's got a very different take, a very different style on reviewing whiskey. I hope his humour translates because I find myself chuckling openly at it. So that was a pleasure, Max, absolutely. The Malted Man Cave is saying, can we look forward to a video on the magic of Campbellton? Why not, Keith? And I'm looking for... a travel companion for such a project. Would you be up for it? I think a trip down to Campbellton, we'd only have 3 distilleries to do, 1.5 in Glen Scotia, I guess, Springbank, Glengyle, and Glen Scotia. Why don't we do it? Yeah, I mean, that kind of style of video, they just, I am not short of ideas. I am only short of time. So, yeah, absolutely. Why not? Craig Foss, that's a new name as well. Glad to be with you, Roy. I'm glad that you're here, Craig. Nice to welcome you in. That looks like a new name to me. Apologies if it's not. And it looks like Malted Man Cave is down. Yes, Sam, let's do it. Well, just tell me when. And the only problem I've got is holidays now. Holidays, I've pretty much used up my holidays for this year. And I'm struggling, and I've got... The reason I've used it up is another super exciting thing that I want to share with you in a little bit as well. I saw a new name popping in there. No, it's not a new name, but to me, but it might be a new name in my life. It's Corey Martin, Big Papa. Fantastic to see you in. Roy, I love your recycled reviews. When's the next video? With a new camera, it's this much. Literally, it's just a question of me getting time to edit it. So there's an imminent recycled video coming out as well. I know I was trying to get it out in May, but things just conspired against me. There will be a recycled video coming to you very, very soon. But it's nice to welcome you in. Fantastic. Whiskey Bloke is saying he's up for more friends, and he's definitely in. He's talking about the Campbelltown trip. Superb. Connor Strang is saying, oh no, sorry, that's Jason saying to Connor Strang, let's go to Campbelltown. Yeah, let's all go. Let's have a minibus. Simon is saying, what surprised you most on this trip compared to previous visits? The weather. It was mind-blowing. You'd wake up in the morning, it'd be cloudy and white skies, and you'd be like, okay, the weather's broke, we're back to Islay weather, fantastic. And then by late morning, middle of the day, it was blue skies, there was no breeze, everything had settled down. I mean, it was idyllic. And you were on those beaches on Islay, and if you've ever been on Islay, you'll know how absolutely fabulous the sand is. It's just, and the water is so super clear as well, when the seas are calm at least. Very, very clear, turquoise blue, and it's just idyllic. So you walk into the sea thinking that you're in the Mediterranean, and you let out this kind of yelp, it's like it's absolutely freezing. It's like you need to be in there with a buddy and do this kind of machismo thing where the two of you are saying you can stay with their feet in the water the longest. That's how utterly bitter cold it is. But after being in there for a while, of course, you adjust, and it's just great fun. Let me pour another bourbon. I'm going to skip the Buffalo Trace. It's a bit soft as well, but this Maker's Mark is fairly decent, I find. Fairly decent. And I'm sipping these today, obviously, because it is apparently National Bourbon Day. I have some other American whiskies back here, and my friend Bill actually brought over some gifts, which are super fantastic. This was hellish to get the top off. This is a Stranahan's Diamond Peak. It says Stranahan's. This is a single malt, I think, of some malt whiskey. No, it's a Colorado whiskey. And see, trying to get this, I guess it's a kind of measuring cup off the top. It was really, really difficult, but we managed it in the end, and we were able to share a dram of this before he went home. And one that I haven't opened yet was also this Balcones Texas single malt whiskey. This is a classic edition at 53%. So I'm excited to open this as well and see what this is about. A while back, I tried the Balcones Baby Blue, and I thought that was really nice. Malted Montreal has just bought me a dram. He's saying, thank you for the shout out and always supporting my channel, Roy. You're very welcome, Swami. There's no need for you to buy me a dram for that, by the way. There's never an issue with that at all, my friend. I wish you every success, and I'll just remind everyone again that Swami is so close to that super, super important for any creator on YouTube to break that 1,000 subs. Is a really, really big deal, and he can I know he can smell it, he can feel it. So if you've not subscribed to Malted in Montreal, please give him a little sub. I don't even mind if you take time out from this live stream, because I'm just monologuing anyway, and go off and hit the subscribe button on Malted in Montreal just now and help the guy access all those tools that are currently hidden from him. Sid is saying, why not use one of the earlier recycle reviews again? Then it would genuinely be a recycled review. That's a wonderful idea, Sid, but I think I'd get found out quite quickly, right? But yeah, I like your thinking. And Richie is saying, Roy, do you have t-shirts available? No, I don't have any merch, Richie. I don't think I'm a sellable brand. I've got my own t-shirts. When I first started the channel, it was really cool. I got little t-shirts made with little Aqvavitae circles on. And I gave one to my friend Roberto and one to my friend the Whiskey Rev. And yeah, that's all I have. I don't have t-shirts. You never know. Maybe sometime in the future. Mikey has also bought me a virtual dram as well. Thank you so much, Mikey. You support me on Patreon as well. You're just a wonderful guy to have around. That Islay video deserves lots of super chats. Mikey, thank you so much. Cheers, my friend. Richie, yeah, the t-shirt thing. Maybe, you never know. And Malt Chronicles is asking, how were your visits to Kilchoman and Bruichladdich? Good question. So I was always very, very aware that Kilchoman and Bruichladdich put out a good product, but I had never had anything that really had some nice Kilchomans, no question. But I've got a Kilchoman downstairs that's frankly awful. It's been there far too long because it's not easily drinkable. It's a 4th edition 100% Islay, and apparently it's well known to be not their greatest. So I'd kind of disconnected a wee bit. And, you know, sometimes when Kilchoman product comes out, there's a bit of rush for it. And I don't like to connect with that. I just kind of take a back step and let other folk that really, really want it rush for it. But Kilchoman was wonderful. Wonderful. And all the drams that we had, I mean, the mouthfeel, the quality of what they're able to put forward now. And some of it's starting to get quite old. There's an 11-year-old now. Now I picked up a 2009 vintage. Because I've moved away from the kind of sherry casting right now. I'm really, really enjoying ex-bourbon stuff that's just been given a bit of time just to be itself, let the environment have a voice as well. And that's what I brought back, that 2009. It was really good. I connected with it. And Bruichladdich was awesome as well. Awesome. Lindy was our tour guide at Bruichladdich and Leah was the tour guide at Kilchoman. And it was just really nice, relaxed, matter-of-fact, down-to-earth, honest, real people tours. It was great, absolutely great. So I connected deeply with both those distilleries, and there is a wee bit of transformation in Aqvavitae for both of those distilleries, I have to be honest. And I brought back a beer barley from Bruichladdich as well. I mean, these weren't fish bottlings, they weren't expensive, they were regular standard bottlings. I wanted to bring back things that I would open and enjoy, drink, and share. So I wasn't buying the. I mean, Ardbeg put out a 13-year-old sherry cask for £250 at cask strength, but this is a single cask from Ardbeg. I mean, as an investment, it's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer. It's going to do fantastically well because it'll be a high-quality Ardbeg. It'll be a good whiskey, so it'll be getting open and drunk, and it'll be being bought by people that want to build a collection. So it's a fantastic investment. £250. I didn't have £250, so it's a moot point. But regardless, it wasn't the type of thing I was there for. I wanted to bring back things that I could share and enjoy, and that's what I did. Reb is asking, I'd buy an Aqvavitae Glencairn glass. That's a good idea. Maybe a Glencairn glass. But then I've got the hassle of shipping it, right, Reb? Maybe, you never know. Jez is saying, Campbelltown trip and magic of Campbelltown video sounds great. Absolutely, Jez, that's a great idea. With all of us and whoever else wants to come along. And Reb is then, because I know he's a fan of Kilchoman, he's saying 100% Islay, 5th, 6th, and 7th edition are amazing. I wonder what your opinion would be of the 4th, Reb. I think you've shared with me in the past that you weren't a fan of it. Just try and pick up my name here, my highlight. And everyone is saying we need outtakes video for the magic of Islay. There wasn't a lot of. I know what you mean there, everyone. I think I would have been motivated to do that, and maybe just something for patrons or something, at least. But there wasn't a lot of outtakes. There wasn't a lot of kind of, maybe a few swear words and things. I don't know, but yeah, I'd be up for doing that if there was material there. But to be honest, there wasn't anything that jumped out from the footage that we took. Malt Chronicles is saying, Aqvavitae, your enthusiasm is enticing. Thanks for the elaborate answer. Yeah. Don't expect short and succinct from me, Malt Chronicles. It's not my skill. It's not my forte. If given an opportunity to go on a wee bit, I always take the opportunity. And everyone is saying more fish. Absolutely, everyone. I'm excited because Eric Waite is at the airport. And he's coming over here to hopefully connect with JasonWhiskyWise, Connor Strang, maybe a couple of guys down in London. I don't know what their arrangements are down there, but that's kind of cool. But on Sunday, he's coming up to Glasgow, and I'm hoping that I can meet with Eric Waite and welcome him to Scotland and hang out with him a little bit and get to know Eric and find out what he wants to do while he's here. But I know he's pretty much booked. He's got a really intense itinerary. So I'm hoping that, you know, just to kind of measure where he is with jet lag and things like that and see how he's feeling, and work out what he wants to do. But I want to propose to him that maybe if I can come up with a technical way to do this, for him to come along here in 2 weeks' time and join me in here for a live. And Eric, because at that time Eric will have been all around Speyside. He'll have been to some distilleries in the Central Belt, and he'll have spent time touring Islay as well. And Eric was quite excited, I think, by watching the Islay video that I put out this week. It kind of whet his appetite for the trip that he's looking forward to. So I think it might be nice to get Eric in here and just have a kind of debrief of how his trip to the UK and his trip around Scotland has been. Eric is a wine guy who's got big into whiskey recently, and it's clearly taken him, and I think he would admit this. I think that he still loves wine, but I think whiskey has stolen his passion. The wind in his sails right now is a whiskey wind. And I think that's what's motivated him to do this tour that he's doing. Yeah, it's a much better Dram. Much better Dram. So what do you think of that? I don't know if Eric would be willing. Do you think that would be cool? I'm going to ask him. I'm going to invite him along if I can work out a way for it to happen. I mean, it's a very modest little room, Eric. But if you're up for it, come along and we'll try and do a live hangout from here. Are you still in? Eric is saying, maybe next time bring a drone. I've got one, but not taking it with me. Interesting, there was lots of drone footage happening. ScotchWhisky.com was there and they were contracting out some drone footage. They did lots of daily videos from there. There was another guy I spoke to, Alexander, and he shot me at Ardbeg with a drone. He had the drone come in and he had it fly in front of me as I did a kind of speak to drone type segment, and then he flew off away from Ardbeg, and I had an idea where I would place that in the video. But I never got his details. I just gave him my card, and I never heard back from him in time for that video to go out. And I didn't want to hold up the video in order for me to get some dramatic drone footage. I think one of the worst things that you see on YouTube with drone footage, because it can be breathtaking and spectacular, and the perspective that it gives you of scenes, landscapes and things is fantastic, but it can be overused. There are some videos that you watch and it's literally just more than half of it is drone footage, and it's just too much. Things need to be used with a bit of balance. Amy's saying, I would love that, Aqvavitae. I hope that you're talking about a live me and Eric hanging out in the same room together for an evening. But yeah, I thought that could be a fun thing to do. I do have a quiz tonight. Later there is a quiz, and I hope that you stay for the quiz, because it's the same style of quiz that we did on World Whisky Day, where everybody participates. It's multiple choice. Every single question is multiple choice. So you all just answer and keep your own scores. And my 4-year-old daughter, she took the quiz with me tonight. She came in this evening before she went to bed, and I was banging away putting the quiz questions together. And she said, I'll do the quiz, Daddy. And she scored 4 out of 10. So that's your benchmark. So even if a chimp did multiple choice when there's 3 potential answers from each, if a chimp does it, it's 33%, right? She got 40% out of 10. So if my 10-year-old daughter, did I say 10-year-old earlier on? If my 10-year-old daughter, I've got 10-year-old twin girls, and one of them came in to do the quiz. If she can get 4 out of 10, that's your target. Stay for the quiz to the end and see how you got on. And I'll admit that the questions were put together in a bit of a rush, so they might be giveaway questions. There's no Whiskey Rev questions in there tonight. Some of them might be tricky, I don't know, but it's like anything. You only know it if you know it, right? Vin is saying, sorry, Aqvavitae, I have to run. Long day tomorrow. Have a great stream, everyone. Vin, thank you so much for dropping in. Thank you so much for the super chat. It's very, very appreciated. And I understand that you're enjoying your new job and you want to get your sleep Thanks for joining in, buddy. It was nice to welcome you. Thank you. Okay, Multi-Haggis Muncher is in. Fantastic. He's saying, anyone tried the Hazelburg 13 Oloroso? Yes. In fact, did I not open that on the last live or 2 lives ago? I have it, and I've opened it. It was very European oak sherry, very spicy, and that kind of dry finish. But as it opened up and it rounded out, it just got better and better and better. Yes, another triumph from the guys down in Campbelltown who seem to be able to put out great whiskey in their sleep, and then send far too much of it to the States, and it doesn't stay in Scotland. It's my only gripe, and it's a significant gripe as well. I don't grudge anyone in America having anything from Springbank or Campbelltown or anywhere else. But when we are cut short and we're balloting and putting our names on lists and things like that for it, that's kind of hard to take. But regardless, it's fabulous whiskey. Have you tried it, Multi-Haggis Muncher? And if you have, what did you think? Yeah, sorry if that's a bit of a rant or a whinge, but it's a valid whinge. I don't know what the distribution ratios are. I don't know what the arrangements are. But what happens is that you see photographs from people, the whiskey folks I know in the States, they'll send me a photograph from a shelf, and there's single cask bottlings from Springbank just sitting there on the shelf at retail flat prices, just gathering dust. Because, I mean, I guess it's investment in their future out there or something, but when you see the difficulty it is for people to get a hold of that stuff here, that's, I don't know, it's difficult. Yeah. Reb, I would like to, I'm just looking down here, I've tried, because I'm terrible at forgetting things, I always forget so many things. Reb sent me, or he had somebody bring over to his family in the UK. So I had a package arrive from an unknown address in Ilford, and I thought, this is odd because I've not given my address out. I'm not always comfortable giving my address out. This is very, very odd. I don't know what's in this. And it made that noise. And then I opened it up, and obviously I worked out that it had come from Reb, and he's in Israel. And he sent me an Israeli dram called Golan Heights. This is Golan Heights, cask number 16. Now, I believe this is a European oak cask. It's a French Cabernet wine cask. That's all I could find out about it. It doesn't say on the label, but I worked out that it was 46%. I just checked real quick. But I'm going to pour it into a fresh glass. My first ever Israeli whiskey on National Bourbon Day, I guess. But oh, wow. What age is this, Reb? Have you any intel on it? Can you tell me? And Reb might not be in still. He might not be here because he does. He is a couple of hours ahead of us, of course, and this is really late for him. So I should perhaps try this now. Quite a nice bit of spice on it. Very curious. I'll leave that there for a second, Reb. Let me know if you're still in. Oh, yes, I sent you an email telling you all about it. Reb, you're absolutely right. You make a good point. The amount of messages and emails that I'm getting just now, I'm keeping on top of them. I'm keeping on top of them, no problem. And I welcome them and I love receiving them. But my brain isn't what it used to be. So if you're hoping that I can recall what the details of it, I suppose I could call up the email just now and have a wee read at it. But yeah, I remember it's from, because I checked tonight, a Cabernet cask, European oak, 46%, cask number 16. Little more than 3 years, Jason is saying it's a new distillery. Thank you, and no doubt, Jason, you'll have tried it. Just want to give a shout out for Malt Review as well. They're on a, I've given them a hard time in the past because they can be really kind of very direct and blunt and opinionated, and I think that sometimes it can come off as a bit negative. But I'm starting to understand why they are like what they are, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting a bit tired of clicking on articles, and whether it's a link from Twitter or whether you're researching something, and you click on these things and it's copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, and you realize that the copy paste is usually the press release. And what you actually need is opinion and editorial and insight, and what you need is an independent voice. And it's just very much what I'm about. I don't ever want to be beholden to anyone in an agency or the industry or a distillery anywhere. I just want to be able to be me and enjoy and share whiskey from my very, very own perspective. But the more I read the stuff from Malt, the more that that's exactly what those guys are doing. And they've started to understand that the old traditional model, which I've been saying since I started this channel, the old traditional model where the industry guides and controls and tries to dictate what the language is and what's said and why something exists and what it's about. And sometimes that's absolutely true and valid, and often it's not. Often it's based on a story that's over-egged and, you know, gilding the lily a bit. But that's old traditional media. New media is not like that anymore. There's no master-slave anymore. And anybody that thinks that that is still the case has a very limited lifespan, because we are now in a peer-to-peer environment where the consumer has so much power at his fingertips. He can understand anything, and he will come to curate and develop his own trusted sources for opinion. That's what's happening now. So if you're running a blog, if you're running any source on whatever the subject is, whether it's whiskey or otherwise, but I'm specifically speaking about whiskey, if you're running a blog and your blog is regurgitating news stories, are you finding success in that? Do you have any insight or editorial opinion of your own written into that? Do you have anything that's of actual value where somebody's going to invest time subscribing to that blog and continue staying for the long term? Because if you don't, you need to ask yourself why you're doing it. The guys at Malt Review have that in spades. Now, sometimes I think, and I'm not pointing at anyone at Malt Review or anywhere that has any kind of editorial opinion of their own, because we all kind of apply our own rational you know, intelligence to these things when we read this stuff and take from it what we need. But sometimes you can easily forget what it's like if somebody's sitting there enjoying, I don't even want to mention a whiskey, but let's say a whiskey that we would probably dismiss as being dull or boring, but somebody is always having a moment, and it might be for them, it might be their transcendent moment, it might be their catalyst, their gateway whiskey, it might be their epiphany moment. And it might be a whiskey that we've dismissed a long time ago. And sometimes as we move along the journey, we forget what it's like to enjoy those whiskies. Maybe because they're at 40%, maybe because they're young, maybe because they're non-age statement, maybe because they're cheap and high volume, whatever it may be, whatever it is. So we need to always remember what it's like to be in the context of wherever anyone is on their whiskey journey. But I'm enjoying the Malt Review stuff more and more, because each article is about a specific whiskey, but woven around it is intelligence and depth of understanding, depth of knowledge that is very, very reassuring. When you read it, you know that you're reading it written from guys that probably know a damn sight more than me, that know a damn sight more than the reader, and more often than not. And I think that's a thing that should be celebrated and encouraged. We don't need to agree with the opinion. We need to just feel and trust that it's genuine. Eric is asking, any tips on purchasing bottles while traveling through Scotland? Eric, so many tips, but relax, my friend. You're coming here. We've got lots of time on Sunday to just take it easy and talk it all out. You do not need to buy anything in retail shops right now, duty-free. You're just going to have, the problem you're going to have is getting it back home again. Don't worry, my friend. Scott is saying he sees this quite a bit. It's infuriating. Opinions and genuine articles are so important, both on blogs and mainstream sites. Absolutely, absolutely. And that's very valid for the YouTube community as well. We do not need to be driven by stuff that's sent to us. I mean, you know, sometimes, you know, they'll send you like little samples and things, and they'll expect some kind of demands back that based on you getting these. What are you thinking about? I've got enough whiskey downstairs to keep me for years and years. I'm not interested in your samples. I'll get samples of really cool product from friends, and I'll exchange, and we'll share ideas about whiskey and things. We don't need your samples. What we need is informed guidance, honest integrity and knowledge, and the reason why things exist and how they fit into the landscape. That's what we need. We don't need your free stuff. I don't need your free stuff. I know that most of the guys, in fact, we don't need samples. I don't, maybe forgive me if I'm, forgive me if I'm getting a bit excited about it, but it frustrates a little bit. And I know, Scott, that you've got your own blog as well. I know that you like to write about whiskey and things like that, so it's good to hear. Thank you, Malt Review, for your integrity and prolific writings. I learned about Scotch Test Dummies through your post about Macallan Edition 2, which then led me to Aqvavitae. Fabulous. Fabulous. Really interesting story about how this kind of small whiskey world kind of wraps up. Keith Malted Man Cave was in here earlier. I hope you're still in here, Keith. But we were in Bunnahabhain and we were standing in line, and this American guy just cut in. And he turned around and he realized he'd cut in, and he said, "Oh, sorry, but don't worry, I'm not going to buy your bottle." And I was like, "Well, how do you know what bottle I'm going to buy?" And we just got talking and things, and he turned out to be a really cool guy, really passionate about whiskey, really excited by all of it. He was just very infectious, and I ended up featuring him. His name is Mario, and he's in that video. He's the guy from New York in that video. And then Keith, my friend Keith from Ohio, comes back and said, "How cool that you met up with Mario. He's a friend of mine." It's just awesome. It's awesome. I mean, when I was talking to Mario, there was no way that we could have known that we had a mutual friend in Ohio. But just like the story that Sean's just recalled there about how he came to my channel through that kind of that collaboration, that cooperation, that knowledge of the kind of Scotch Test Dummies and me and Malt Review, and that's awesome. That's awesome. And that's how people are seeking out things that they can connect with, honesty and integrity. Jason is saying, Eric Waite can leave all the bottles at my house for safekeeping. Yeah, that's a great idea, Jason. And if he's a bit overly laden, he can leave a few here as well before he heads back down to London. Scott is saying, he says, worked in media for almost 30 years. The landscape is constantly evolving. And I think it's the short, sharp shock, Scott. It'd be interesting for you and I to have a chat about this. I'm in marketing as well, and we've always grappled with having to switch it up and change it up for the digital media. The digital media has kind of changed everything. I mean, I'm in business to business, so it's milder for me, but business to consumer, it's just such a huge impact, how much information that people have at hand and how much alternatives they have now, how much choice they have. Mott is saying, thanks, Roy, great to hear folk appreciate what we're doing. Absolutely. I can't always read your articles every day. You guys are so prolific, but every day, like clockwork, you're putting out stuff there. And what I was really encouraged by, Jason, is you being able to get in front of camera and actually bring that on YouTube as well. And that was a really cool, really from just shooting from the hip type discussion that you brought the other day. And I encourage you to do more of that to enhance what you're doing on the main site. Superb. It was fantastic. Rolf, Whiskey Wolf is saying, agree with you there, Rolf. Malt Review have great, unique and interesting opinionated content and independent. And the stuff that they're bringing, you know, you might always look at it and say, I'm never going to buy this. I'll never source this. It's not what it's about. The insight that they're bringing and the knowledge that they bring to describe how that thing has come to be is insight that you're not going to get if you just go to a churn site, a media site, a clickbait site. If you turn up on a website, judge it by its quality of content, of course, but a clue is often the amount of ads that's floating alongside the article. That's just my experience. George Kaplan, fantastic to see you in, George. Great to welcome you again. And you need more Springbank bottles. We absolutely do. Connor is saying, enough for years. I'll accept that challenge. Yeah. I have. The problem I've got is the open bottles. I've constantly got an issue with open bottle syndrome. Walter Mancave is saying, I need samples, send them all to me. Yeah, if it was the legal thing, that would be a workable solution for sure. Razvan is in. Good to see you, Razvan. John Paul Vanderhoven is in. Thank you very much for your kind comments on the video as well, John Paul. Razvan is saying, hi, Aqvavitae, good evening. Good evening to you. Welcome in again. Keith is saying he's very involved in a Facebook group, Scotch Addicts. Ah, I see. Okay. He never mentioned that. Scott is saying, I don't accept samples unless they're from friends' bottles. That said, the blog has been neglected again because of work. Big guy, I feel you. I really do feel you. It's if it wasn't for my wife stepping into the breach and giving me time to do these things, I would never get to it. Anyway, Reb, I need to try, now that this has been sitting in the glass for a little while, I need to try your very, very kind sample that took quite a convoluted route to get to me. I appreciate that. Wow. So the arrival is super sweet. You'd swear it was bourbon cask, first fill bourbon cask on arrival. It's not. We know it's European oak red wine cask, but that only comes on the development, on the finish. There's lots of spice on the finish. There is no way I would place that at 3 years old. If that's what Jason said, no way. Superb. A very, very enjoyable dram, and certainly my first, not just from Israel, but from anywhere in that corner of the world. Thank you so much, Reb. And listen, see if you're getting sent samples and you're sitting on sample bottles, don't let them become ornaments. Somebody spent a lot of time putting that sample together in an excited frenzy, wanting to share that with you. Crack it open, enjoy it, and give them the feedback, and let them know how you feel about the sample that they sent you. Whiskey Bloke, Max is saying, I would not say no to a 1 litre sample of the Dalmore 25. You know, I need to have a chat, Max. I have no Dalmore 25. I have no Dalmore. But yeah, I've never tried the Dalmore 25, if I'm honest. I have to be honest. Danny is in. Good, fantastic to see you, Dan, as well. And thanks again for your nice comments on the video. Superb to welcome you in again. Jason Coate is talking to Eric Cotton, saying, good call. I was there last summer and I wasn't even on the plane home before I started missing it. He's talking to Eric Waite. Because Eric is saying he's already planning on his return trip to Scotland next year. So many distilleries, so little time. But the thing is, Eric will always be here. Well, we hope, right? We hope. Let's just see how you go on this trip, and really excited. The more I watch you, Eric, the more I know that we're going to be able to chat about things. The more I know where we're going to we agree on so many topics and things. I'm looking forward to seeing you on Sunday. Daydreaming is saying, Aqvavitae, I suspect something from Israel would be similar to Australia. Well, I was just about to ask about the climate there. Would mature quicker with the warmer environment. This does not taste like a 3-year-old whiskey for sure. I'm a wee bit blocked up. I had a fantastic club night on Tuesday night, fantastic whiskies. We had a Daft Mill. We had a bunch of examples from Berry Brothers who are distributing for Daft Mill now that Daft Mill is actually released. And it's one of the fantastic things about being in a club, because the Daft Mill was £210 a bottle, but the price is incidental because there's no chance that you could buy it regardless. So we got to try Daft Mill. It was superb. In terms of experience, as a 12-year-old whiskey, I'd say it was good. I know that I've heard that there are much better examples of Daft Mill, not available yet, of course. It was super expensive for a 12-year-old. There's one coming out next month, I think, or later in the year that's going to be a lot cheaper, £95. Still expensive for a 12-year-old. But listen, there's going to be a clamour for that product. So it was great to be a member of a club and get to try that. But then we went on to try a gorgeous Dalhousie, a 33-year-old Taninic, 2 different Highland Parks, well-matured Highland Parks. Just a great, great lineup. If you're not a member of a whiskey club, seek your nearest whiskey club out and join it. It's just a fantastic way to to connect with whiskey. Whiskey Bloke is saying that he needs more whiskey. I doubt that, Max. I think you're doing quite well. Gregor, I think. Seraphian is in. Fantastic, Greg. I know that you and I occasionally chat on Twitter. It's fantastic to see you in here. I know you comment on the videos, and I really appreciate it. Hi, Roy. We love you all. Absolutely, we love all of it. Love bourbon, and especially in a cocktail is such a stunner. Yeah, I actually really enjoy bourbon poured over a chunk of ice as well. Fabulous dram in summer too. Reb is saying add a drop of water, all the real fruits come out. Okay, Reb, I'll do that. Let's give it a Ralphie here. Just a tiny drop. A few weeks ago, I did a video with Vin from No Nonsense Whiskey about adding water to whiskey. And there's a really cool thing that happened to me recently, that we've had dry, hot weather in Scotland now with very few breaks for weeks and weeks. It was brilliant. But when I came back from Islay, there was dry days. And the kids were out playing in the back garden, and they'd left all their towels out, and the rain came down on Saturday. But just as the first few big drops of rain started to bounce off the window, I went outside the back, out to the back garden to get the towels in. And we've kind of got some paving out there, and a table with a kind of parasol thing up for the sun. And as the first few drops of rain came down, I went out to grab the towels so they wouldn't get wet. And I was struck immediately by the smell. I mean, there was just literally drops of rain had bounced, nothing more. It was just dots of it, but enough to bring that smell rushing up from the ground, from the concrete, from the stones, from the plants, from the grass, from the trees, from everything. The smell was so powerful that I just literally sat down under the parasol, and I realized that is what's happening when you just put those couple of wee drops in a dram. That's the difference it's making. It's not about dilution. It's the effect those few drops of water is happening on that kind of stable spirit. Quite amazing. Oh yeah, I agree. It's like I've just picked berries fresh from a tree. Power of suggestion maybe, but this is like red berries. It's like almost like red currants and blackberries. I mean, that's a common thing, I think, from European oak to get those flavors. But and what was this 46%? I said, didn't I? Really cool to try. Really cool. Causeway Coast Whiskies is saying, how about £100 for a 3-year-old Dingle pot still? That's expensive. Ah, well, I'll beat that. If you stay for the quiz tonight, we were talking about this recently. There's a release from a very well-known distillery just come out recently. And the price of it is just, I need to understand the backstory. There must be a reason for this, because it is taken the mickey on a level that I just haven't experienced before. It's breathtaking how ridiculous it's getting. £100 for a 3-year-old Dingle pot still, yeah. But if there's a demand for it, you can understand. You know, people are clamoring for. I mean, like the new distilleries that are opening up, the inaugural releases that's coming out and things. You understand that it's going to be limited in terms of supply, and when it's gone, it's gone. So, you know, you're just going to have to deal with that, and you can either connect with it or choose not to. But then you just see these random releases coming out with ridiculous price tags, and you think, this is nonsense. Just don't connect with it. Multi-Haggis Muncher is saying, didn't get a Daft Mill, but did get a 1770 from Glasgow Distillery. Still a bit pricey. Absolutely, it was pricey. And they were running a lottery as well. And a lottery, I mean, literally people are fighting each other to pay over the odds for young whiskey. And it's the Daft Mill is the same. The Daft Mill, the 1770 from Glasgow Distillery, which is kind of not even in Glasgow, it's actually outside of Glasgow, but regardless, it's absolutely fact, it's the Glasgow Distillery. These are not going to be opened and enjoyed. These are going to be ornaments. You're buying ornaments. I understand why that's cool. I understand why people are attracted to that. It's just not what does it for me. Whiskey is so much more a visceral, emotive thing. Jason is saying he's won 3 ballots this month. That and Campbelltown. Skint. I feel you, big guy. I really do feel you. Stephen Connor, welcome in, Stephen. Good to see you. You hit the nail on the head with the drops of water and their effect on the spirit. Absolutely. And as time goes by, you learn it more and more. Richie's saying, Roy, what do you think of the standard Jack Daniel's Old Number 7? I think it's absolutely fine. Well, honestly, you pour yourself or grab a rocks glass, throw some ice in there, slowly pour a Jack Daniel's over the ice, take it out the back garden on a nice night, and sit there and sip it. We don't need to love Jack Daniel's. We don't need to, but we need to celebrate the fact that what it does in terms of how it is a base for mixers and everything, that it's actually very palatable as a sipper in that context as well. It's a massive achievement. And people that knock it are just being, I think they're being silly. They're taking it out of context. It's fantastic for that. I mean, I've got a bottle of Jack Daniel's downstairs that I've had for years, and it's probably still going to last me for a long time to come. But it's remarkably, and some people that come to the house, the only thing they know, the only thing they want to drink is JD. That's what they're comfortable with. And Multi-Haggis Muncher is saying, I think I know which one you're talking about, new release. Well, it's in the quiz tonight. And Tom is saying there's a new Compass box coming out soon. I'm nervous to see the price. There's a difference there, Tom, a wee bit of a difference that's almost not justifiable, but almost justifiable. That Compass box have spent 30 years building up a product to the point that you can trust that whatever they bring out, whatever kind of blend that they concoct is going to be engaging and it's going to be good quality. And now they're at the point where they can realize a premium for that. But recently, that new Hedonism Muse that came out at £250 plus and things, that starts to get a bit crazy. But like I say, Tom, we don't need to connect with that. We can let the other folk that want to trip over each other to go and throw money at these concepts, let them do it, and it leaves the stuff, the good value stuff, alone for us, the people who are willing to invest in understanding a bit more and work out where the good stuff is at reasonable, sane money as well. And Jason is saying, I've got a piece about new distillery bottles online this Saturday. Yeah, it'd be interesting to read, no doubt. Colourless Blue Things is saying, have you seen what's happening at the prices of Aberlour Abuna? Yep, doubling in price. But to be honest, you can understand what Aberlour have done there. I mean, they've been coming out with a cask strength product for sub £50 for years from a sherry cask. And somebody at Pernod Ricard has went, what? What are we doing? If this was a Scotch Malt Whisky Society release of Aberlour from at cask strength from a sherry cask, okay, to be fair, the Scotch Malt Whisky Society would put the age statement on it and things like that, but they wouldn't be selling it for £45 or £48 or whatever Aberlour was being sold at. But unfortunately, I think they'll lose and they'll disconnect a lot of people by suddenly that huge price increase, that huge price jump. I think it's jarring for most people. Okay, I've been talking too long. It's getting on for 11 o'clock, an hour and 15 minutes in. And I want to do the quiz tonight as well. Okay, just checking that, make sure that I've not... I want to make an apology, actually, for the live stream that came from Islay. I was really excited about that. I'd brought everything I thought I needed. I brought a nice rig. The tripod was set up. I was using the phone as the webcam. I was going to launch it through the app on the mobile phone. Tested it. Everything was great. But on the setup, that just before we went live that night, it wouldn't work, and we just couldn't get it to work, and it was an audio issue. Couldn't fathom what it was. We tried umpteen adapters. We tried switching everything out. The only thing I didn't switch out, so frustrating, was this stupid thing. I have an iPhone 8, so it needs a 3.5mm to lightning adapter, and this is broken. This was the spare one. The original one is still working, but I was using the spare, and that's what caused the audio not to work that night, which is why we ended up coming to you with the cobbled together from the laptop. So I apologise for that. And it also caused a problem on some of the interviews. Some people were really cool from the distilleries to give me interviews on Islay. Brian from Burn Stewart gave me a really cool interview. Leah from Kilhoman gave me a cool interview. And Tom from Lefroy. I want to give them all a shout out and apologize to them. But their audio was utterly corrupted by this faulty, what's it in the bin now, adapter. It's a disaster. So I think what I'll do is just stick to the 3.5mm jacks and just record audio from I'll use another device to record audio in future. I was using the phone because it was handy and easy to do. Drinking Caveman is in. Charles, great to see you. He's saying, how much is the Abuna now? I've heard that it's jumped up to close to £90 retail, which is about an 80 to 90% increase. Significant. Reb, this is delicious. Thank you so much for sending me this. Golan Heights, an Israeli distillery. There you go. So just before I go into the quiz, I want to share with you something cool that happened to me recently. The whiskey community on YouTube is growing, and it's growing fast. Ralphie is at 106,000 subscribers there. Now, of course, a lot of those are kind of not engaged anymore, but he's still got a huge engagement level. I would say a significant percentage of Ralphie's followers are very engaged. You know, there are lots of really popular channels out there, such as the Scotch Test Dummies, Scotch for Dummies, Whiskey in the Six, all building a community behind them, and it's working great. But we didn't really know the size or the scale or the scope of what was available in terms of a whiskey community on YouTube until Daniel Whittington in Texas started messing around with video, and then about the late 2016 he started to do some advent calendar whiskey reviews. Then eventually hooked up with his mate Rex, who I think has got a production company or a marketing company or something like that. And the two of them got together, this chemistry built up, this whiskey production thing built up. They put out a lot of content over 2 channels, the Whisky Vault and the Whiskey Tribe, and it blew up. And if you look at their 2 channels together, they've got more subs than Ralphie, but if you discount the overlap, I mean, they will overtake Ralphie, no doubt, at some point in the very near future. But that beacon is there, that just the size of potential community that's building on YouTube for whiskey is amazing, and it's super encouraging. But they were quite isolated. They weren't connected. They didn't do a lot of collaborations and things like that, and I wasn't sure where they were positioned on that, and I didn't ever make an effort to reach out to them because I just thought they were happy being big boys doing very busy things, doing super important things on their own. But they reached out to me. Recently, I got an invite from them to join them for the distillery opening in Texas at the end of August. They're offering to pay my accommodation to put me up. I've just got to get myself to Texas and they'll take care of me. And I've got to say that's very, very tempting. Well, I'll be honest, the flight is booked. At the end of August, I will be in Texas for the Whisky Vault, for Whiskey Tribe, for their distillery opening, which is the V Vice distillery, I think. The bar, I think, there is called the Feather and Fang. And if you understand what these guys put together in terms of their it's just great fun. You just need to go and watch it. There's a bear and an eagle and an evil dolphin and all of this stuff going on, and it's very, very bizarre and weird, but it's fun and it's just a good laugh, and the idea that whiskey doesn't always need to be serious. But I'm excited about that. I've never been to Texas before. I'm excited to go to Texas, and I'm excited about that invite. And I think it's going to be really cool to go and do, and I wanted to share that with you. So that's why the holidays are kind of screwed for me this year, because I've had to take some time away from a family holiday to make that thing happen. But again, the only way that it can happen from a financial perspective is because of the support I'm getting from patrons again. So when you see me in Texas, and perhaps I hope to shoot a video, the magic of Texas, who knows, but a similar kind of vlog style video when I'm over there, the only way that can happen is because of you guys. You're just awesome. You're just so awesome. That whole dynamic, the idea that the community at a very granular level, I mean, you know, you're paying for the content now. The industry doesn't pay for it. The agencies don't pay for it. Marketers don't pay for it. Distilleries, don't care who they are. They're not controlling this anymore. You are. You pay the people that you trust $1. Whatever you choose is and that is what brings the quality content. That's what separates the wheat from the chaff, or the grist from the husk, if you like, if you want to use a more malt whiskey term. And it's just an awesome thing to be happening. The tools are in place now. We can get together with all these virtual tools. We can reward the channels. I support 14 channels through Patreon. 14 channels, and 10 or 11 of those channels are whiskey channels. And I pay them because I enjoy their content and I want it to endure. I want it to continue coming. That very dynamic will afford me the luxury of taking what I do on YouTube over to Texas just for a weekend. It's not a long time, and to experience what those guys are doing, which is awesome. Let's see what I've missed here. Drinking Caveman is saying, Scott is saying that's pretty cool. I hope you're talking about the Texas thing. I know what you mean. Greg is saying, I know what you mean. You like this kind of modernized 60s happy days feeling, right, Roy? I'm an optimist, Greg. Come on, and what's the alternative, right? I know pessimism never leads to disappointment, but I'd rather be optimistic about most things. Charles is saying, nice man, congrats. Love to see the content. Thank you so much, Charles. Same for you, right back at you. Charles and Wally are still doing Whiskey Untitled. They're doing a live every week. Go and check those guys out if you haven't already. I'm sure you must. But Mark Broad is in as well. Superb. Mark is saying, in Texas. Awesome. I know that's quite a distance for you, Mark. But yeah, end of August, I'm heading to a corner of the world I've never been before. I've been to the States, I've been to the North, East, the Southwest. I've never been in Texas. And Whiskey Wolf is saying cool as well. That's fantastic. Mikey Hayes saying that's extremely cool about Whisky Vault Trip, Roy. I've always really loved their videos and general attitude. Yeah, it's very, very laid back. I don't care what anybody says. That Daniel knows, I need to set him straight on a couple of pretty basic, but he knows his stuff. He really, really is knowledgeable and knows his stuff. I think I've missed a super chat tonight. Fantastic, Scott. Thank you very, very much. I've just spotted that's come up, or I've maybe not got down to it yet. He's given me a super chat and he said some cash to buy miniatures for the flight. Scott, thank you so much. Thank you, my friend. I'm looking forward to hooking up with you at the end of the month as well. We've got a very cool tasting planned. I'm really excited about that. Sid Martin is saying Daniel's Longmorn 16 stash is under the stairs in his office. No. Daniel's Longmorn 16 stash is in my glass cabinet downstairs. If you look at his video or their video, to add water to whiskey, if you want to watch it, go to the Aqvavitae best YouTube whiskey videos ever playlist. And one of the ones in that playlist is the Whisky Vault, how to add water to whiskey. It's one of the best whiskey video creations that there's ever been. The shenanigans that they're getting up to, and you'll see what Rex does to Daniel's Longmorn 16. It's priceless. But don't worry, Sid, the Longmorn 16 is in good hands, and some Longmorn 16 will travel with me. So yeah, I've just happened upon your contribution there, Scott. Thank you very much. And Richie as well. V-Rich has just given me a tip, a Texas trip tip. Thank you very, very much as well, Richie. That's super generous of you. I'll finish this Golan Heights and say Slàinte. Thank you very much. A Scotsman with my complexion in Texas. Let's see how that goes down, right? Jason, thank you very, very much. You say no super chats missed. Superb. Let's have a drink of water so I can get ready for this quiz tonight. Wow. Is the Longmorn 16 much different from the 15? Yes. The Longmorn 16 is a bit more kind of tropical, much more kind of peach, pineapple, top note heavy. Really, really wonderful dram. I had it on the live stream way back in January or February. I went to auction to buy to buy a bottle because I love it so much. It's Longmorn 16 is fantastic. Longmorn 15 was wonderful. I prefer the 16 just because of how utterly that Speyside freshness that it has is fantastic, and it's 48% as well. Don't confuse it with an on-age statement, which is a disaster. Hoyt, thank you so much. Get yourself some mesquite brisket. Wow, is that like a Tex-Mex thing? Is it? Very, very cool. Do you know what else is cool about the Texas trip? Is that I know that there are other channels that have been invited. And if the other channels can make it there as well, that would just be some kind of awesome. That would just be superb. Anyway, 78 still in. I know you've probably dropped off a wee bit with all my monologuing, but I appreciate you all for hanging about and staying. It's brilliant. Eric is saying, Texas in August, you need to wear Depends undergarments just to absorb the sweat. Yeah, I've heard the humidity is or is it that it's really, really dry? One or the other. But yeah, I've heard it can be super, super uncomfortable outside of air-conditioned environments. And Connor is saying, never been to Texas. Me neither, buddy. Do we need to wear those hats? And Richie's saying the Longmorn is awesome. It really is. And that's, you know, obviously Daniel at the Whisky Vault, through watching them, I worked out how much that Longmorn 16 had affected him. And Longmorn's one of these whiskies, one of these malt whiskies in Scotland that blenders love it because it's one of these kind of magic, you know, they either use it as a heart malt or a dressing malt. It seems like that every blend that they add it to, it seems to add something positive to, or so I'm told. I have no experience of this, but that's just the kind of the myth that goes around it. And when you try that Longmorn 16, presented the way the Longmorn 16 was, not the new Longmorn 16, the old one that was in a green box. It was kind of 2015 of that era. 48%. That's when you understand why somebody could enthuse like that about it. Okay, Jason, my friend, thank you very, very much. I'm ready to kick off this quiz tonight. Get things started. Like I said, folks, unless you've got any questions that you want to throw into me now, I think I've covered most of the things that I felt were really important. I think so. Just get the quiz underway. It's a multiple choice quiz. Anybody can participate. You're all keeping your own scores. Honesty and integrity is not in question. I absolutely know that you will. I'm going to pour something nice so that I can, well, it's National Bourbon Day, so I have to have just the best bourbon I've perhaps ever had. Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. This is the 69.7% one. It's the only one I've ever had. It's absolutely fantastic, show-stopping whiskey. You can sit with a dram of this the whole night. I am not exaggerating. I'm going to put a wee quarter teaspoon in because I know how much water it takes. It can take lots of water. Just fabulous stuff. Chocolate and wow. Wonderful. Tom is saying, when you're in Texas, please get Daniel in a headlock and trim that goat beard. It's just a tad too wild. Yeah, he's just, you know, they've just cut Rex's hair off, right? But it's kind of him now, right? I wonder what Daniel would look like without that beard, right? John Belushi, hi John, good to see you on ECBP, right, Roy? Absolutely. It is the ECBP, it's the bottle of wow from the Scotch Test Dummies. And it really is wonderful. And he's saying, I'm on the EC Barrel Proof, Roy. Awesome stuff. Well, cheers to you, Alan. Let's raise a dram and say Slàinte to this fantastic whiskey on National Bourbon Day. What's really interesting about it is on the arrival, of course, it's from first fill, it's bourbon. Not first fill, virgin. But on the arrival, it's the spice hits you like it's a really super spicy sherry cask on arrival. And then it morphs into that dark chocolate, the coffee, the really, really dark, thick fruits. The mouthfeel is tremendous. It leaves you with all this spice. My gums are completely lit up. It's quite wonderful, wonderful whiskey. And Dan is saying he hasn't had the barrel proof. He didn't care for the 12-year-old. I've never tried the 12-year-old. I can't compare. But this is just a wonderful thing. And Jason WhiskyWise is saying, well, a 12 is his bourbon of choice tonight. Good for you, Jason, enjoying a bourbon on National Bourbon Day. Yes, Jason, as you've asked, I'm absolutely ready for the quiz. Ready to light it up. So you're keeping your own scores. I hope you stay for the quiz tonight because, like I say, with multiple choice, anybody can win it. And just shout out how you're scoring as you go along. It's easier for me to backtrack, and I don't really need to verify because there's no, there's no prizes tonight. It's just for fun, just to see how we get on with it. But I like to watch the replay of these lives because I get to catch all of your comments and not just the ones that are directed at me. So as Cosby Coast Whiskey Reviews is suggesting, Gladiators ready. Jason, let's see if I can switch to the other screen quickly. Let's see if this will work. It looks like it's working on my side, and I'm ready to start the quiz when you are, big guy. So once I see the lines going in for question one, I'm going to light up question one. It's going to be faster than usual because obviously I'm not suggesting that anyone would search Google. I'm sure that you would not do that, but I would like to avoid that even being in the question. So let's see. Let's go with question one. Good luck, everybody. Which blend has just released a triple cask variant through travel retail? So which blend has released a triple cask variant through travel retail? Now this is quite recent. This is very recent, so don't be getting confused with any previous releases. This is very recent. Is it Johnnie Walker triple cask, Jameson triple cask, or Chivas Regal triple cask? So A, Johnnie Walker, B, Jameson, or C, Chivas Regal. Which blend? Travel retail stores. I don't know if it's a global release, but there was a fairly big splash in the news about this new blend cocktail base called triple cask. And I think the triple casking was refill spirit, so ex-whiskey refill cask, first fill bourbon, and rum cask, I think. Nothing too spectacular, but nevertheless. I think the good thing about it was a litre of it was costing £28. So still fairly planted. All the answers are pouring in. Everyone is saying A. Everyone thinks it's Johnnie Walker. Walter Van Cave is saying, he's standing out from the crowd and saying Jameson. B. Everyone is saying Johnnie Walker. Tom R doesn't know. Tom, just guess. You still get a point if you guess correct. Michael Hay is saying V. Per Christensen is in. Per, fantastic to welcome you in. Wonderful to have you here. I know we've connected on Facebook, but it's great to see you in on a live and participating in a quiz. Fantastic. Paul is saying B. He's going with Jameson. Howitt Hemphill is saying B. And the answer, just to get this in quickly, is indeed A for Johnnie Walker. Johnnie Walker has just brought out £28 for a litre, which I think is not too bad in terms of price. A triple cask variant in travel retail. So if you answered A, Chris Bank Wildlife is in. Thank you, Chris. I just got your email. Fantastic to hear from you. I will reply to it with a bit more of a thought-out response. But it's nice to welcome you in, Chris. Fantastic. I'm sorry if I haven't spotted you before now. Let's move on to question two. Jason, question two. Which of these casks holds the least liquid when full? So basically what I'm asking here is, which is the smallest cask? Which of these casks hold the least liquid when full? Is it A, a sherry hogshead, B, a standard hogshead? There is a difference. Or C, a bourbon barrel, an ASB, which is an American standard barrel. So A, a sherry hogshead, B, a standard hogshead, or C, an ASB bourbon barrel. Let's see what we have. Now, I know quite a lot of you are on full marks already with 1 out of 1. Everybody is... C is super popular this time. Everybody seems to think an American standard barrel holds the least liquid when full. Everybody. John Paul van der Hoven, don't give me a question mark on multiple choice. Just guess. Guess, and you can maybe snag yourself a point. So I'm going to just quickly announce that the one that holds the least liquid when full is indeed an ASB bourbon barrel, 200 litres. And what's interesting for me when I did this question is apparently, and I know it's typical, this isn't always the case, but apparently sherry hogsheads hold a wee bit more than a bourbon hogshead. And I wasn't aware of that. I need to learn more about wood because I don't understand why that would be the case. I always believed that a hogshead was made from, I think it was either 5 ASBs being broken down and made into 4 hogsheads, or 4 made into 3 or something like that. I don't understand why they would hold different quantities. Anyway, give yourself a point if you answered C for that one, as we move on to question 3, which is, which Islay distillery is furthest north? So I'm going to give you 3 Islay distilleries. You just tell me which is furthest north. Is it A, Colilla, B, Ardnahoe, or C, Bunnahabhain? So which one is furthest north? A, Colilla, B, Ardnahoe, or C, Bunnahabhain? And I'll let you throw your questions in as quickly as possible. Fastly. So despite having a wee bit of a head cold, I mean, I would have to be close to dead to not be able to taste this Elijah Craig. It's quite amazing. Okay, everyone is saying C, C, C. Multi-Haggis Muncher is saying A. C, 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 C. Nick Place is saying A. Santa Cruz is saying B. Whiskey Scout is saying B. But the majority, Paul Gibbs is saying A. The majority seems to think it's C. Let's have a wee look. Which is the furthest north distillery in Islay? It is, in fact, Bunnahabhain. And if you've ever taken that single track road from the main track that goes down to Port Askaig to the ferry port, if you head to Bunnahabhain, I hope you get it on a nice day, because you look to your right and you see across to Jura, the Paps and everything. It's just fabulous. You look down to the right and you'll see Ardnahoe getting built. And the length of that road is longer than you expect. Bunnahabhain is the furthest north. Tom Harris saying, Aqvavitae, does your wife enjoy some bourbon? I'm still working on my wife, Tom. She's receptive. She tries things from time to time. It's not hit her yet. She's not had, despite having a whiskey evangelist in the house, she's not had her epiphany moment yet. She prefers sparkling white stuff. It's just the way it is. Reb is saying, I've taken the road. The distillery looks a bit run down. Bunnahabhain has got huge investment planned. There was lots and lots of talk about that during their open day this year. There's lots of money getting spent on Bunnahabhain, and who cares? Come on, who can be offended at how Bunnahabhain looks when they're turning out some of the whiskies that they're capable of turning out right now? And their prices are they're creeping up, sure, but they're still pretty good prices as well. Anyway, let's hit question 4 quickly. Corsair Distillery is located in which US state? This is a giveaway one, especially when most of the audiences are American, right? Which state would you find Corsair Distillery? Is it A, Tennessee, B, Indiana, or C, Kentucky? A, Tennessee, B, Indiana, or C, Kentucky? Which state would you find Corsair? I've never tried a Corsair whiskey. I hear their rye is stupendous. Oh, I think I'm making the questions a wee bit easy tonight, because it seems to be everyone is going for A. People think that Corsair is a Tennessee distillery. Okay, let's have a quick look. Corsair is located in Tennessee. Absolutely. So if you answered Tennessee, you're absolutely right. I think you're in Nashville, if I'm right. Heritage, that's a new name. Good to welcome you in. And Pegglestrand, it looks like Pegglestrand. I caught a comment from you recently, And I also caught you in Eric Waite's live as well. It's wonderful to welcome you in here. I'm not sure I've seen you in here before, but I know you've commented on one of my videos, and I thank you for your support. Danny is saying locked up, big delay. Hit the refresh button on your browser, Dan. You might find that you've paused the video or something has happened. Just hit refresh and refresh the whole browser. Might mean you've missed a question or two, but it's better than playing the whole game with a delay, right? Okay, let's hit up question 5. Try and keep it fast as we go 25 after 11. 5. Which of these new Scotch distilleries are located, or excuse the grammar, is located in the Western Highlands? Which of these new Scotch distilleries is located in the Western Highlands? Is it Inchdearney, Ardnamurchan, or Dalmunnock? Inchdearney, Ardnamurchan, or Dalmunnock? So A is Inchdearney, B is Ardnamurchan, and C is Dalmunnock. One of them is in the West Highlands. The other two are not. Lots of folk answering. Some people guessing. Donner Pass Whiskey, good to welcome you in. It's fantastic that you're guessing. He's guessed B. No, sorry, you've guessed C. Lots of people are saying B, B. Let's have a quick look now that most of the answers are in. Andy has answered B. Scott has said A. Heritage has said B. The one that's in the Western Highlands is Ardnamurchan. B. Ardnamurchan. So give yourself a point for that. Now that we've had 5 questions, we're at the halfway point. Just throw in where you're scoring right now. I think there's going to be a ton of you are going to be 5 out of 5. I think these are giveaways tonight. I think there's going to be a lot of people duking it out for a 10 out of 10. I need the rev in. I need the rev back to crank up the difficulty. So a few of you admitting 4. Malt Chronicles is on 5. You score well at these, don't you, Malt Chronicles? Causeway Coast 5, absolutely well done. Alan Wilson 5, lots of people on 5 already. Nick Place admitting 4, good man. Danny keeps freezing up. North Korea is that again. Superb. Okay. Let's go into question 6 quickly. Dufton is said to be built on 7 stills, but where is 7 Stills Distillery? I don't know. This is. I was in a rush putting these questions together. I don't know the connection between Dufton and this, but regardless. Dufton is said to be built on 7 stills, but where is 7 Stills Distillery? Is it A, Australia, B, South Africa, or C, USA? Which country is 7 Stills Distillery? Is it A, Australia, B, is it South African, or is it C, American? 7 Stills, where would it be? Which country is it in? Danny is saying 0. I don't believe you, Dan. I don't believe you for a second. Per is saying A. Connor is saying C. Nick, Whiskey Biker C. Sid Martin A. Lots of people going for A. Lots of people think 7 Stills is in Australia. Some people think C, USA. Okay, let's click back now that most of the answers are coming in and tell you that 7 Stills Distillery is in the USA. Now, I don't know if Eric Waite is still in or if he's boarded his flight to London already, but I understand that 7 Stills is actually just on the outskirts of San Francisco. If I'd have thought, I would have had more bourbon-flavoured questions in here tonight, but I put the quiz together in a hurry tonight. That's probably quite apparent, actually. Okay, moving on to question 7 quickly. While mashing with beer barley, this is a cool question. While mashing with beer barley, which distillery seriously damaged its 130-year-plus old mash tun? So they had a really, really old mash tun. They were mashing with beer barley, and they put it out of commission for a number of weeks. Was it Bunnahabhain, A? Or was it B, Bruichladdich? Or was it C, Benromach? A, Bunnahabhain, B, Bruichladdich, or C, Benromach. One of those distilleries was running a kind of, I guess they were still in the experimental stages. And what happened is that the guys, they were running the mash as normal. They went off for a break, and they came back after the break, and they started up this mash tun, and the thing just fell apart because the beer barley mash had set like concrete, and the tine arms and the gears and everything just snapped and fell apart, and it actually put the distillery out of production for quite some time. Lots of you are mentioning B, thinking that it's Bruichladdich. Some of you are mentioning Bunnahabhain. Nobody seems to think it's Benromach. Okay, let's have a wee look. The distillery that was put out of commission by experimenting with beer barley and ruining their mash tun was Bruichladdich. Bruichladdich. Really cool thing. They had a Bunnahabhain mash tun. It was a cast iron mash tun open top. When Bunnahabhain decommissioned it, Bruichladdich took it on, and it's still running in Bruichladdich now. But if you go and you see the mash tun, whether it's working or not, you'll see tine arms that are nice and shiny and new, and you'll see old cast iron arms as well. And the shiny new ones were obviously, they had to be replaced after it smashed. That was beer barley that did that. So give yourself a point if you answer B for Bruichladdich. There's going to be a lot of you on full marks tonight, right? Get quite a knowledgeable crowd. Question 8. Quite an obscure one. Which of these closed distilleries was once located in Glasgow? Which of these closed distilleries was located in Glasgow? Okay. Now, if you don't know this, at least guess, because it's worth a guess. Is it A, Ladyburn, B, Kinclaith, or C, Inverleven? So one of these distilleries was a Glasgow distillery. A, Ladyburn. Oops, Daisy, I think I just gave it away, the tricky one. A, Ladyburn, B, Kinclaith, C, Inverleven. You might have caught that. And that was a tricky question as well. That was going to be the one that separated the knowledgeable from the not so. Multi-Haggis Muncher saying C, Connor Strang, B, Malt Chronicles, C, Sid Martin, B, John Paul van der Hoven, C, Per Christensen, B, B and C. You're torn between B and C. Let's have a quick look. It was B, Kinclaith. Ladyburn, I think, was at there's a distillery, a malt distillery down in the Girvan Grain Complex owned by Grants called Ailsa Bay. And I think that that's built more or less in the same place as the old Ladyburn distillery that was closed down back in the 70s or 80s, I think. And Inverleven was, I think, the thing that ties these all together is that they were in or around another distillery complex. Inverleven was Dumbarton, part of the grain complex there, and Kinclaith was part of the Strathclyde complex, which still exists. So it was Kinclaith. So if you answer B, give yourself a point. As we move on to the second last question, question 9. Which distillery has just released a 16-year-old single cask for £650 to celebrate 175 years? So this distillery is celebrating its 175th anniversary. A fantastic thing to celebrate. 175 years of distilling whiskey. Superb. This distillery, and I need a backstory for this, I need an explanation for this, I need to understand what this is about, but they've chosen to release a single cask, 16-year-old, first fill bourbon, £650. Is it A, the Exclude Everyone distillery, B, the Having a Laugh distillery, or C, Glenmorangie distillery? So is it A, the distillery that doesn't want anybody to buy anything to celebrate their 175 years of distilling, instead wants to put out less than 200 bottles of a single cask, 16-year-old first fill bourbon and charge £650 for the pleasure of it? Is it B, the Having a Laugh distillery? Surely there's a backstory to it. Surely there's a reason. Surely there's a justification for such cynicism. And I will happily take to a live stream in the future and apologise for my rant about this idiocy. Or is it C, the Glenmorangie distillery? If you are queuing up or considering going to Glenmorangie to spend £650 on a 16-year-old first fill bourbon whiskey, that there's only 191 bottles made purely to celebrate their 175th anniversary, have a word with yourself. The answer is clearly our friends at LVMH Glenmorangie. Malt Chronicles has answered the absolute right question, all of the above, and I fully agree with you, Malt Chronicles. It's embarrassing, and like I say, if I've got this the wrong way around, if I haven't understood the concept properly, I'll happily say, okay, this is the reason for it. This is because it is super precious, super limited. And it's not just a kind of random. I understand that it might be a wonderful cask. It might epitomise the very essence of Glenmorangie, but there's 191 bottles of it. It's never going to be drunk. Nobody gets to participate, share, or enjoy the epitome of Glenmorangie if that's the case. I need to understand what that's about. Question 10. Which village would you be in if you stayed over at the famous Highlander Inn? I think there's going to be lots of people that's going to get full marks tonight for sure, which is okay. Which village would you be in if you stayed over at the famous Highlander Inn? Now, there may be other Highlander Inns, but everyone knows the Highlander Inn that I'm talking about, and therefore the village. Is it A, Craigellachie? Is it B, Knockandu? Or is it C, Ballandalach? A, Craigellachie, B, Knockandu, or C, Ballandalach. So clearly we're in Speyside. That's the Highlander Inn I'm talking about. The Highlander Inn in Speyside. It's in one of those villages. A, Craigellachie, B, Knockandu, or C, Ballandalach. And that's our final question. Everybody's piling in. Everybody thinks it's A, which the answer to that would be Craigellachie. Whiskey Scout. Robert, nice to welcome you in, my friend. Whiskey Scout is saying C. Santa Cruzan, Chris, superb, saying A. Dan E is saying Carney. Dan, I'm so pleased that I can pronounce that. Carney. I've been to Carney, New Jersey. It's not Kearney. I've been there when I was a young guy. When I was 21 years old, I was living in New York, and I traveled to Carney because I knew there was a huge Scottish community there, and I could buy Scottish things, Scottish sweets, Scottish candy, iron brew, things like that. They even made Scottish meat pies and things. It was very, very cool. Carney, New Jersey. Unfortunately, Dan, it's not Carney, New Jersey. It's one of the 3 villages I mentioned in Speyside. Let's answer quickly. The village where you'll find the Highlander Inn is, of course, Craigellachie. A. Give yourself a point if you answered A. Cheer if you've still got full marks. There must be quite a few of you that have full marks. Terry Dolan is just in. Good to welcome you in, Terry Dolan. He's saying, damn, I'm late to the pub quiz. Well, if you try not to indulge in the spoilers, you might be able to do it on the repeat and see how you scored. Usually after the live streams, I put a link in the description box for you to go in and download this quiz if you want to kind of just hang out and play it with friends or collect them or do whatever you want to do. But I link to these quizzes so that you can download them yourself. Just don't judge me on my putting together a PowerPoint type skills. Let's read out some scores here. Connor Strang, 10 out of 10. The A student scored full marks. I wouldn't expect anything less, Connor. Well done again. Superb. Rolf has said 7 out of 10. Good pass mark. Superb. Alan Wilson scored 10. Superb. Tom R, 9 out of 10. Fantastic, Tom. Sid Martin, 9 out of 10. Superb. Per, 9 out of 10. Fantastic. Nick Place, 7 out of 10. 8 out of 9, Jason. So you missed a question. Scott is saying 6 out of 10. As I said, I'm blaming the drink and the jet lag. You've got a fantastic excuse, Scott. Absolutely. Jonathan Meadmeal, good to see you. That's just me spotting you that you're in here tonight. Thanks for joining me last live stream as well. 10 out of 10, superb. Sean Nemo, 10 out of 10, boom. Absolutely fantastic. JasonWhiskyWise, 10 out of 10. Of course, Jason, I wouldn't expect anything else. Danny is saying Little Scotland, absolutely. Malt Chronicles, 9 out of 10. Damned Inverleven. Oh, Malt Chronicles, you'll be raging. I know you will be. Fantastic. Daydreaming, superb, Andrew. Got 9 out of 10. Causeway Coast is saying, an ex-industry insider told me that a litre of pure alcohol costs £1.60 to make, including construction costs, paying staff, electricity, water, etc. Maturation then added 4p per litre per year. Yeah, the cost of maturation is vastly overestimated. Of course, it takes a huge investment, but in terms of per litre, it's a very small sum. That's right, per year, per annum. Most of it is tax, of course. But £650, somebody justify that to me. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. I can't talk about it. John Paul Vanderhoven, 5. You know, it's still a pass, barely by the skin of your teeth, John Paul, but you made a pass mark, and it's great that you admit that it is. Chris Banks Wildlife beating my 7, got 8. Fantastic, Chris. Well done, you. 5 for 10. I either knew when I didn't. My guesses were way off. Whiskey Scout. You only know if you know it, Robert. I understand completely. But 5 is still a skin of your teeth pass mark. Mikey thinks he got a 7 out of 10. As long as you're comfortable, you passed. Superb. Amy, thank you for joining us. Good night to you too. I think I'm just about ready to wind up. What I do want to mention again is that Whiskey Dick Bill has a live stream tonight. He's going out about 1 a.m. in the morning to celebrate National Bourbon Day. Remember that I think just about after Bill, the Scotch for Dummies, the regular slot, Scotch for Dummies always go out on a Thursday night as well. It's usually right in the middle of the night for me. I usually catch them on a Friday. Those guys are going out on a live stream as well. Swami usually goes out on a Saturday. For anybody that's still here, Swami is tantalizingly close to getting his 1,000 subs. Let's go and have a wee look at Swami and see if he's got any closer to that. It'd be cool if we worked out where he is. Malted in Montreal. Let's see how many subs Swami's at. He's at 983 subs. Swami literally needs only 17 subs to get himself into the 1,000 and just access all those YouTube tools that he's currently excluded from. So that would be awesome. Multi-Haggis Muncher has just bought me a dram. Thank you so much, my friend. That's wonderful to have. He's not made a comment or anything. I'll just raise a glass and say Slàinte and thank you very, very much. Creel is in. He's asking if anyone's tried Kings County Bourbon. I have not. I'm not very comfortable in the bourbon world. I think most people know that and need to get connected with bourbon. John Paul Vanderhoven has bought me a dram as well, saying, thanks, Roy. It's a Texas dram. Thank you very much, John Paul. That's wonderful. I will be taking my camera to Texas as well. The camera bought for me by all my wonderful, wonderful supporters and Patreon, and of course through this super chat function as well. Causeway Coast Whiskies is saying fantastic night's entertainment. That means so much to me. I would just like to shout out Causeway Coast Whiskies. They do reviews as well. They also write guest reviews for Malt Review as well. Super knowledgeable guys, specializing in Irish whiskey as well, I believe. I think that's right. I'm often blown away by the people who actually connect with me and hang out with me and things. I'm constantly in the company of people who know so much more than I do about whiskey. And that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Thanks for joining. And thank you very much for buying me a virtual dram as well. I'm taking tiny sips of this. I hope you'll forgive me, but it's pretty powerful stuff. It's almost 70% ABV. And only put a tiny wee quarter teaspoon in. Another dram in as well. This is awesome. Thank you so much for daydreaming. Those of you who have not seen the Islay video, please go and have a look at the Islay video, the production I put together. I'm super proud of it. After the release and the relief of the reception that it got, I hope you enjoy it. You guys are really, really pivotal in the ability to be able to put that type of content out there. Andrew's bought me a virtual dram all the way from Australia and said, cheers, Roy. Cheers right back at you, Andrew. It's a pleasure to know you. It really is. Jason, my friend, is saying, cheers as always, Roy. Saying, it's a great show as always, Roy. And thank you, everyone, for joining. Jason, you're an utter gentleman. People that don't know the guy who runs shotgun for me so often, if it's not the Whiskey Rev, it's Jason, and sometimes it's both of them together. They're wonderful guys. If you're ever doing a tour at Macallan, you'll meet the Whiskey Rev, hopefully. But those of you who don't know Jason WhiskyWise, he's just an awesome gentleman, lots and lots of energy, really, really into his whiskey, bringing lots of prolific content out there, loves to do series of whiskies and comparisons and contrast reviews. A great guy. Look out his channel, Jason WhiskyWise as well. Doug Creasop, who's a patron of mine as well, saying, I loved your Islay video, and he's bought me a virtual dram as well. This is awesome. Thank you so much, Doug. It's wonderful to have you join in, and I'll say thank you so much for yours as well. I'm glad you enjoyed the video. It was a pleasure for me to make. Made more so by the great reception that it got. Kilted Moose, Scott is saying, I'll be watching the Islay video next, mate. Cheers. I think you'll enjoy it, Scott. I know how much you connect with that island as well. So hopefully you're going to have fun watching it. Dwayne is saying, good night, Roy. Good night, Dwayne. Wonderful to have you in joining me again. Jonathan is saying, Mead Mill saying, great show as always, Roy. Thank you very much. Loved the Islay video. Terrific job. Thank you. Thank you, Jonathan. Thanks for joining. Richie Z is saying, cheers, Aqvavitae, Roy. Alan Wilson has just bought me a dram as well. Thank you so much. Let me know when we're going to Campbellton. Alan, you let me know. Decide when it's going to be. I suggest it should be next year. I've no holidays left for this year. Let's do it. Let's get a minibus together. Let's get in touch with the guys down in Campbelltown and say, look, there's a few of us coming. We were going to make a movie as well. Can we hang out with you? What can you do for us? Richie is saying, Rich is saying, good night, Roy, and everyone. Cheers. Richie, thank you so much for joining in, and thank you as well for all your awesome support. Richie, I know what you did on Patreon this week, and you're just not close enough for me to give you a hug. So this is a virtual hug and a thank you instead. Thank you, Richie. It's a pleasure to have you around and supporting me. It's wonderful. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to all of you for joining in again for just a Thursday night whiskey hangout. It's wonderful to have you all around. I hope that the rest of your National Bourbon Day is fantastic. The Whiskey Dram has just said, great as always, loved the video, brought back memories of being there. Fantastic. That's exactly what I tried to bring across, and it's nice to welcome you in as well. It's just wonderful to hang out with you all again on a Thursday night. I'm going to hold up this glass. Have I thanked everyone tonight? I always forget somebody, and I apologize for whoever I've forgotten again tonight. It's wonderful to join with you all on these Thursday nights, and until next time, which will be 2 weeks from now, which would be the 28th. Hopefully, I can cobble together a live with Eric Waite. And until then, until next time, Slàinte.